which brings him to his current dilemma. Now, he contemplated that maybe he used up all of his luck coming across the dragon. He looked down as he wondered how he would take care of the situation. Karam asked him what was wrong since he wasn't doing anything. Cannon looked funny when annoyed and asked her if she couldn't see the people below them. Karam told him, "So what?" She argued that if he unsheathed her, he'd have to do something at least. He argued back if she's for real using a demonic sword with all those people watching. He told her that he'd be burned at the stake immediately if they saw that. She argued back, asking if he's just going to stay on this dragon. He yelled that he's thinking right now. Their banter was funny. Villar had a magic circle underneath him. Our Emk panicked as soon as he saw this, because it was an advanced 8-star magic. Sion knows that his father is going to use the secret sword of heavens, knowing that his son will get swept up into it too. Several golden swords were released towards the dragon's head. Sion commented that his father is really living up to his title as the continent's guardian. The swords were reaching the dragon, but the dragon was able to evade them. Funnily, Sion cheered for the dragon. He was about to say to the dragon to keep avoiding like that, until he saw one sword coming from the side, and he knew the dragon wouldn't be able to dodge that one. The dragon was hit, and Sion fell as he was falling down. He curses for missing the opportunity for such a special meal. Karam appeared and asked him what he planned to do, or if he's just going to kiss the ground. Sion replied that if he used a mist still, he'd be burned at the stake. She was furious when she asked if he's just going to let himself die. Sion's reply was funny. He had a dead expression when he uttered that he doesn't know, and he'll just stop thinking until he sensed something. He told Karam that there's a way. Karam, with a horrified expression on her face, asked her master if he plans to fall in there. She described it as the infested water. Sion replied, "What other choice do I have?" Karam yelled loudly, "No!" And off they went. Someone sensed something. This person, with 2 horns, was surprised to see a devil dragon flying around that area. It was a rare sight. The man behind this person also had horns and replied that it was a young dragon, and it seemed like it got lost and got itself into trouble. The first man had silver hair, and he commented that there must be some strong demonic beasts on the other side. But the other man replied that it's humans who live across that border. The first man was surprised to know that it was humans, and added that it couldn't be true since there's no way a dragon lost to something like a human. He remained silent. The man with red hair asked the man with silver hair if there's something bothering him. He replied that he's feeling a strange energy from over there. Something strange but also familiar. The man with red hair replied that if he's that concerned, he should go check it out. However, he must refrain from killing everything he sees just because he's bored. The man's wings appeared. He told the man with red hair that he won't cause any trouble. The red water showed bubbles, and Karam emerged from it. He got out of the water, feeling exhausted. He groaned. His face didn't look good while feeling disgusted. He uttered, "My life." He asked Karam if she's still alive. Karam was annoyed. Her expression showed that she was clearly irritated. She told him not to talk to her and that she's trying to decide how she's going to kill him. Sion told her that they will clean up once they get back. He asked her not to be mad, which made Karam ask if he's going to go back. She told him to get it together and reminded him that they are in the demon realm. Karam assured her that no way they would come across a higher demon. But before he could finish his sentence, someone butted in. This person uttered that he was right. He knew something fun would be waiting for him there. Sion had shivers all over his body. He knew that voice. The person, rather a demon, called out to Sion. That voice was so deeply embedded in Sion's brain that he couldn't forget it no matter what. Sion now had a furious expression. The demon asked him if he's a human. It was none other than the demon king, Valkyrion. In the past, all those who witnessed him said that it felt like looking at the embodiment of evil. And right now, that same hell of a monster was staring at our MC. He tried his best not to take his sight off the demon king because he could kill him in an instant. That is what stood in front of him now. He cursed as he asked, "Why now?" The demon king reiterated that he's asking if Sion is a human. He asked if he's not going to answer. Valerian glared at him. The demon king suddenly appeared behind him and asked if he wanted to fight. Sion was alarmed. He attempted to slash Valerian. He managed to cut a strand of his hair, which surprised the demon king. Then the demon king, Valerian, laughed. He had a relaxed expression as he commented that he heard that humans are a kind with infinite potential and expressed that it might be true. Kar asked who that is. Sion replied that it was a demon king. That surprised Karam. She asked how the hell he was going to defeat the demon king in the state he's in right now. Sion knew it was impossible, and he could only try running away. His hands trembled. He wondered if he could survive against Velkon, the demon king. Then the demon king told him to relax. He asked Karam what he was going to do to a kid like him. He assured him that he can calm down. He laid leisurely on the ground to prove his point that he's not going to do anything. He uttered that, even if he's an A, he won't fight kids. Sen made a funny expression because of the random action of the demon king. Valerian asked again if he's human. Sen replied, "Yes." The demon king inquired how he got there. He explained that it was because of the current of the water. The Demon King asked if it was his first time in the demon realm. The demon tried to tease him since he felt a strange aura from Canon. He inquired who he was. Cyan, now sweating, replied that he's a normal human. The Demon King replied that he's a normal human, but it felt like he knew the Demon King. Cyan replied that they have never met before. The Demon King replied that it's true, since he had never seen a human before, so he wondered when Cyan could have seen him. Then Cyan asked the Demon King why he was there. In his head, he noted the relaxed manner of the Demon King and wondered if he was the same Demon King that he knew of. The Demon King explained that he felt a strange energy while making his rounds. Cyan inquired about making rounds. Valerian elaborated that, as the Demon King, it's given that he would watch over the lands he rules. But he stopped explaining mid-sentence. He sat down and asked Cyan what he just said. Sen replied that he was explaining that it was a given for him to watch over the lands he rules as the Demon King. Then Valerian had a funny expression when he asked Canon if he wasn't shocked, since he said that he's the Demon King. And that's when Cyan was caught. The Demon King realized that he was right. Cyan knew him from somewhere, because what kind of kid in the world would react like he did? Valerian even asked if his mom never threatened him by saying that the Demon King would take him away if he's not a good boy. Cyan thought that there's no way that is the same Demon King that he knew of. He assumed that if things go like in his past, the demon's invasion should start soon. But he observed that the Demon King in front of him doesn't seem like someone who would do that. So Cyan started thinking that if this is Velt Karen's true self, then what triggered him to change? He asked Valerian if he really is a Demon King and what it is that he wished to accomplish. The Demon King smiled and commented that, for Cyan to ask a demon such a question, he's quite bold. But he answered that he just wants his people to live good lives and eat well. Though the Demon King expressed with all seriousness that if anyone dares to get in the way, he will kill them all, because that is his duty as the Demon King. Cyan felt shivers all over his body. He thought to himself that it was just for a moment, but he definitely felt it, the true monstrosity of the Velkon he knew in his past life. Cyan understood that it's repressed now, but some incident must have removed the chains on that side of the Demon King. He knew to himself that he needed to prevent that incident from happening. He asked the Demon King if he wanted to make a deal with him. He told Velon that something will happen to him soon, something that will threaten the people he rules. Velkon asked what he was talking about, since Cyan is not making any sense. Cyan explained that he doesn't know the exact incident, but he's certain that the incident will trigger a great war between the humans and the demons. The Demon King got up, now he's agitated. He asked if Cyan meant that he, the Demon King, would want to take their lands in the future. Cyan replied that it's exactly why he wants to negotiate. With a serious expression, Cyan told Velon that he should promise him that he won't start a war no matter what happens. The Demon King told Cyan that he's not making any sense, but he agreed that he won't start a war. He inquired what Cyan would give him in return. Cyan replied, "I'll help you." Cyan vowed that no matter what happens to the Demon King, he will do his best to help him. The Demon King loomed over him, but he did not back down. Instead, he met his gaze. Velon uttered that Cyan knew something. Our MC was slightly intimidated. The Demon King had a small laugh as he asked for the kid's name. He then introduced himself as Cyan Vert. The Demon King promised Sanver Vert that, as the owner of the demon realm, he would not invade the human lands no matter what happens. Velt Karen's wings had appeared, and he flew into the sky. But before he left, he reminded Cyan to take responsibility for his own promise too. After all, a deal is a deal. Cyan met his gaze and nodded. The Demon King declared that their deal was sealed. After the deal with the Demon King, Cyan was found on the shore by the knights. They uttered that it was a miracle the inspection team found him conveniently lying there, and he was able to get back. Then, he earned the nickname, the boy who survived the Devil Dragon. They returned to an abbey on the borders of Vus, which was being used as a military hospital for the time being. Cyan uttered, "Sorry." Princess Erin was by his side and told him that she would repeat what she said in his head. Cyan thought that everything was resolved. Princess Erin was blushing when she asked him a question. Her question was, "Will you be mine?" Cyan had no clue what she was saying. Cyan then nonchalantly declined her by saying, "Nah." Princess Erin was taken aback by his immediate response. She was about to cry as she stated that, of course he'd decline since she's a powerless princess. In his head, Cyan commented that she's really getting on his nerves. He knew she was powerless, but her attitude made her even worse. It's obvious what's going to happen, but he can't stop thinking about the fact that the piece of brother of his is somehow involved with her tragic end. Cyan replied to her, "You're right." He told her that she can't bring any benefit to her or anyone for that matter, as she is right now. He added that she didn't have any influence or etiquette, and it would actually be bad for him if he were to be close to her. However, Cyan told her that he would watch her from afar until she developed into someone better. Erin didn't expect that statement, so she wanted to confirm it once again. He replied, "Yes," and told her not to be disappointed, but Princess Erin blushed and understood that she just had to improve enough so that he would acknowledge her. She pointed a finger at him and told him to wait and see. She didn't know when, but she was going to become so powerful that he wouldn't be able to ignore her. Cyan told her that he's looking forward to it. In his head, he noticed how she cheered up real fast. Before she left, she had one more thing to say. She was blushing when she thanked him for being alive. This had a deadpan expression. A few days later, at the rear camp's outskirts of the forest, a man was looking around. He was laughing silently as he held a box. The box glowed, and he uttered that there was not much left now. Then this man heard someone say, "So it's you, Reynold Crimson?" Reynolds' body couldn't move because it felt like there were invisible chains tying him down. The person had an ominous aura and approached him. What Reynold was holding was a small dimensional box. This person commented that it's commercialization that has yet to happen. It's an artifact that's imbued with a dimensional realm and enough mana to allow infinite stone storage. It was the masterpiece of the Garam Kingdom's Mage Association. The person asked if he got that right. This person had been keeping an eye on Reynold for a whole year because it felt like someone within the Empire was smuggling them. So now this person has figured out the smuggling process. He took the box and identified the person as Reynold Crimson, a 7-star mage knight from the Garam Kingdom. Reynold knew the person before him. It was Cyan Vert. He asked Cyan why he was there. Cyan emptied out the container. There were monster body parts. Cyan told Reynold that he assumes that Reynold extracted the blood of demonic corpses and brought them over in supply carriages that are allowed over the border. He also assumed that there's a spy who helped Reynold in the supply department too. Reynold asked what Cyan was talking about, then announced that he didn't know anything. Cyan told him that he doesn't need to play dumb. Cyan knew that the blood was already being sold on the black market. He assumed that Alice was able to get the Hellhound blood through that guy too. He started wondering who betrayed them, but either way, he couldn't allow Reynold to live. Reynold didn't have an idea how Cyan was able to capture him, but he could move a bit now. So, he used magic on his hand. Reynold used breath fire and told Cyan to die. He told Cyan that the consequences of letting the guard down are death, and Reynold released a big flame. He uttered that he thought he was dead, and now he was able to confirm that the rumors about Cyan were true. He watched his flames engulf the area where Cyan stood earlier. Reynold sighed and complained that he lost the dimensional box. He never expected that kind of thing to happen in the midst of transport. Out of the blue, his hand was cut off. It became a fountain of blood, and he was surprised to see a black fog. Cyan stood before him. Reynold thought it was mist. Cyan grabbed his neck and made him choose. His first option was to tell Cyan about the smuggling route and the spy, and then die a comfortable death. Or if he would rather suffer a death so tragic that even Satan would pray for him. A few hours later, at the Velia's western border trading post, people were busy carrying large boxes. 2 men were happily looking at the contents of the boxes. They were glad that they would be able to take a bit more this time. The other man opened the other box while he wondered how much was in it. But the 2 men were in for a surprise when they recognized it inside the box. The head of Reynold. They wondered who did that. A man in a robe watched the busy area. It was Cyan, and Karam asked if he was not going to do anything about those guys. He replied that he would leave them be, as he assumed that the warning had been enough. Garam Kingdom's 7-star mage knight Reynold Crimson had been smuggling the blood of demonic beasts from the front lines behind the USI Empire's back. The items Reynold smuggled were taken to the Garam Kingdom's Mage Association. The Garam Kingdom's Mage Association is a place where all the mages insanely obsessed with magic gather. They study the origin and foundation of magic, as well as the art of creating new magic. They are an association that aspires to surpass the limits of humanity. Currently, they're making useful artifacts like the dimensional box, but in the future, they will do all kinds of insane stuff, with demonic beast blood. Cyan knew that he needed to put a stop to it. Karam told him that she thought he only planned to live for himself, but she was confused, since he did a selfless act. He replied that he just doesn't like more people using the demonic beast blood. Meanwhile, at a residence in the Yusuf Empire, Ashel looked out the window. He received a report that Cyan Vert went on the front lines with their father. A naked woman on his bed heard the name and recognized that it was Ash's half-brother. Ashel commented that Cyan was getting on his nerves, so he decided to go see him. The scene then shifted towards where these 2 luggages were placed on the side. Emily celebrated for finally being out of the front lines. Now, she was excited. She even commented that the academy would be incomparable to that gloomy place. While she expressed this, Cyan uttered, "It's the beginning of hell for me." The academy isn't the kind of place Emily is expecting. In reality, it's a place rife with politics and schemes. Envy and jealousy rule the place, and networking is prioritized over education. Emily excitedly expressed that she heard there were lots of handsome instructors. She wondered if romance was finally coming into her life, which made Cyan wonder if she was really coming to the academy because of him. A few hours later, C's luggage was brought out of the carriage. He walked around, then heard a loud gasping sound. It was Cran. He trembled at the sight of Sen. Our MC was about to greet him, but Cran quickly ran away. "That loser got PTSD from their last battle," Karam remarked. "Who was that idiot?" Cyan asked. "That was Cran, his half-brother," Cyan replied. Don't mind him. Karam commented on how Sen was the opposite of his family members. Sen replied that it's not really true. In his mind, the real opposite is someone else. He opened the door and was greeted by the servants, who took him to A.B. Since the butler had never even glanced at him before, Sen thought it was strange that the butler was now being polite, as if his father or that bastard was in there. He thought of how much had changed over the course of the past year. He'd like to think that it was a reward for his hard work. When he turned the doorknob, his mood suddenly shifted. He recognized the aura that made him shudder. He tightened his grip on the doorknob. He already knew that beyond the door was that bastard. And I think we all know who this was. Ashel greeted our MC with a smiling face. On the other hand, Cyan told himself to calm down. Ashel asked Cyan if he didn't remember him. Deep inside, his vision was starting to darken. He couldn't stay calm. Ashel told him that it would make sense since the last time they saw each other was before Cyan went into the academy. Cyan admitted that there was no chance he could calm down at that moment. He slowly took out Karam. He wanted to kill Ashel, but someone gripped his hand. It was Karam. She told him to get it together if he didn't want to die. She told him there was no fun in killing Ashel right now. That stopped Cyan. He closed his eyes, took a breath, and then politely greeted his older brother. Ashel replied that Cyan remembered him. Cyan replied that he could not forget his own older brother's face. Ashel patted his head and uttered, "It makes me happy." He expressed that he was worried that Cyan might have forgotten him. But now he was glad that Cyan didn't. Ashel also expressed that he heard Cyan's swordsmanship had improved, and he mentioned that Cyan would soon be able to help their father, but he corrected himself, saying this loser would be helping him on the battlefield. Cyan, with a murderous intent, replied, "I'm looking forward to it." Ashel observed him, then replied that he was glad Cyan admitted he came just to see him. In his head, Cyan knew that Ashel was the kind of guy who didn't spare a glance at those he deemed useless, so knowing that Ashel was there for a reason helped Cyan calm down. Cyan put on an act and told his brother that he missed him too. Meanwhile, Emily was complaining that Cyan didn't even have any baggage and didn't help her with hers. She stopped in front of a door to take a brief rest. When she opened it, she instantly started screaming at the young master for leaving her, but she was surprised to see that the first young master was there. Ashel told her that he heard she was close to Cyan, but it seemed she was even comfortable with him. He told her to feel free to do her work and not mind him. They saw him out of the door. Emily let out a breath and expressed that she was nervous. Then she told Cyan that he should have let her know in advance that the first young master was there. Cyan asked her to leave him alone for a bit. Emily was about to protest, but Cyan was being scary. He told her not to make him repeat himself. Emily got worried, and vomited in the restroom, breathing heavily. He asked Karam why she stopped him. Karam suggested that he should be thanking her. She said it was a good chance for her to take over his body. Karam told him not to be mistaken. She just wanted his rage to grow because that way, he'd be more delicious. That made Cyan smile. He commented that it was as expected of Karam. Along the hallway, someone walked. That person arrived at the front of the door. Ashel told this person to come. This man reported to Ashel that he had tracked down the second young lady as ordered. Ashel asked where she was. The man reported that she was in the north, in the territory of the White Elves, Frua. Ashel knew that Frua was famous for hating outsiders. He commented that his sister was skilled at dealing with people. He asked the man to report to him when his sister was preparing to return. The man asked Ashel if something good had happened. Ashel asked the man what he thought. The man replied that Ashel looked brighter than usual. He inquired if meeting with the young master was amusing. Ashel replied that he could put it that way, but he told the man he was wrong. He admitted that he was in a terrible mood. The man apologized. Ashel recalled Cyan's murderous eyes. He described it as if Cyan was looking at his lifelong nemesis. He wondered if he just misunderstood it. He expressed that Cyan was getting on his nerves and he'd have to keep an eye on him. The man assured Ashel that he was going to assign someone to do that. Ashel stared at the view outside his window. He once again recalled Cyan's eyes. He wondered what Cyan was hiding. The day when Cyan needed to go had finally come. A carriage was already waiting outside the mansion. Several knights were also present. We then see Emily fuming in anger as she told her young master that she was disappointed in him. Cyan replied that it was not his fault that he could only take a knight escort to the academy. It turns out she was disappointed because she would not be able to go and accompany Cyan. She whined that her young master should have informed her beforehand. But since there was really nothing they could do now, our Emk bid his goodbye. He even advised Emily to be good and not to be too mad. This maid wished Cyan the best. Cyan had a smug look on his face as he told the carriage, "You can go now." The carriage immediately started moving as soon as they heard Cyan's request. Emily was dumbfounded that her master would just leave like that. She then screamed at the top of her lungs that Cyan should not feel down even if he gets bullied. Emily waved goodbye, telling our MC to take care of himself. In his mind, Cyan thought, that's very like her to say. He then recalled a certain memory when he was 8 years old. Cyan had been so sick with a fever that he was repeatedly losing consciousness. No one was there to take care of him except for one person. This lady carried him on her back, even though it was raining heavily outside, and it was none other than Emily. She sprinted to the nearest doctor back then and didn't stop screaming for help. Luckily, an old man opened the door of his clinic and asked them to immediately come inside. Emily did her best just to make her young master feel better. Cyan knew that if it weren't for her, he probably would have been found dead somewhere in the mansion. For Cyan, Emily was one of the people he cherished the most. He then showed her his bright smile while reminding her to act right, or she'll end up dead by his hand. Emily knew that this was her master's way of expressing himself. She then exclaimed that she wasn't able to hear the parting words of Cyan. After that emotional farewell, Cyan sat back up with a satisfied look on his face. His expression changed as soon as he thought about someone. He can't really get why 6 intermediate knights were needed just to escort him towards the academy. Our MC let out a sigh. He smiled and thought that it seems like shit's going to go down before he even gets to the academy. The day had almost passed by, and the carriage was still moving. 2 intermediate knights exchanged glances as if it was some kind of signal. Cyan was lying inside the carriage when he noticed the stop. One knight approached and informed him that they would be camping in this place for tonight. Cyan asked where they were right now. The knight then told him that they were already in the central city called Cern. He added that they would probably arrive in the city tomorrow morning. Cyan agreed with this plan and told the knight to inform him once they were done setting up. After that conversation, our MC finally confirmed that the knight lied to him. He knew that there isn't a forest like this near Saffir. On top of that, it's not somewhere nice and shady either. He thought that they were out in the middle of nowhere. He noted that it's obvious what these were trying to do. After a while, the knights informed Cyan that he could come out now. Cannon made small talk and told them that the air was really refreshing while checking the surroundings. The only weird thing was that all of the knights had surrounded him, their swords already prepared to be unsheathed. Cyan then asked them, "Who's behind this?" His question made them silent. Most of them were nervous, and as seconds passed by, it was evident that the knights were wary of Cyan. But out of the 6 knights, only one of them had a different expression. Cyan saw that this one smiled. That annoyed him, and with a more intimidating expression, he repeated, "I just asked them a question." The loser who smiled then prepared himself. He claimed that Cyan didn't really need to know anything, as he would be dying soon anyway. He then approached our MC and told him that it was really a shame they had to do this. He added that there were no personal feelings attached while pointing his sword at Cyan. He advised Cyan to be nice enough so that they would make it as painless as possible. All Cyan needed to do was stand there and keep his eyes closed. After that statement, this loser rushed toward Cyan and attempted to swing his sword. He exclaimed, "Goodbye." The blade was already about to touch our MC's neck. But Cyan maintained his serious expression. In a split second, one head got slashed and flew in the air, but it was not Cyan's. The knights were all shocked by what they just witnessed. It was the loser's head. Cyan, while holding his demonic sword, spoke. "I asked who the is behind this." The remaining knights felt that the pressure around them had changed. They were now confused as to why they were feeling one certain emotion: fear. Cyan's eyes were already glowing red, and he questioned them, wondering why they weren't moving. He wondered if none of them expected this situation to happen. The knight at the back thought he couldn't believe what he was seeing right now. Meanwhile, the others came to their senses and charged towards Cyan, but their attempt was futile. This was a fight that none of them could win. One by one, they screamed in pain as Cyan continued to pierce their bodies. Cyan then noticed one knight who tried to run, but the next thing this loser knew was that something hit him from the back. Our MC threw his demonic sword towards him like it was nothing. Bull's eye, the only one left, had tears falling from his face. He couldn't even try to blink as the bodies of the intermediate knights lay on the bloody ground. He wondered if Cyan was really an 11-year-old child. Our MC held out his hand, and that was for the sword to come back to him. The knight then thought that there's a reason why Cyan came back alive after fighting a dragon. While looking at Cyan's menacing eyes, he knew that this mission was already doomed from the start. The last knight couldn't stop his tears from falling as he knew what was going to happen next. He fell on his butt, trying to get back while Cyan slowly approached him. Our MC addressed the knight and commanded that he should tell him everything. And of course, his life was more important than a piece of information. So the knight immediately revealed that Mrs. Margaret was behind all this. Cyan had a disappointed look on his face as he thought the interrogation was too easy. Meanwhile, the knight was still trembling from fear and was not able to speak a single word. The next day, we see the carriage moving again. Turns out the knight's life was spared, and he continued giving Cyan more information. Our mech chilled at the top of the carriage, while finding out that Kron had apparently asked a favor from his mother. Cyan exuded his dark aura as soon as he found out that it was his loser stepbrother. He thought that he was going to teach him a good lesson when he saw him again. His attention then shifted as the knight addressed Cyan with a worried expression. He inquired, "What's going to happen to me now?" Both of his eyes had a little bit of tears as he asked Cyan if he was going to kill him. Cyan then commented that the knight didn't look that sad about it. The knight reasoned out that they were the first ones to try to kill the young master, so he had no right to resent Cyan if Cyan kills him. To break the tension, Cyan casually advised the knight to just drive. Then he noted that there's a difference between being useless and having no value in being alive. That shocked the knight. He couldn't help himself but thank Cyan. A few moments later, Cyan exclaimed that they were finally there. In front of him stood the grand central city, Sappher. In another place, a vase got shattered as a voice was heard asking, "What the hell did he mean?" The person who cursed had a trembling hand as important information was being reported. The butler continued that one knight was missing and the other 6 were found dead. Apparently, Cyan left Sappher 10 days ago. The one that was trembling was Mrs. Margaret, and now she blamed the person in front of her for this unexpected problem. Mrs. Margaret continued to scream. She asked how they failed at getting rid of some little child. The butler quickly bowed his head and apologized. He admitted that they had underestimated the young master. He was already sweating heavily as he added that there must be someone behind the scenes that they didn't know of. He also pleaded for Mrs. Margaret to give him one more chance, and he'd send someone to the academy to finish the job. But the evil stepmother wasn't happy about this plan. If they did that, she worried that Cyan would do something to Cray. She remembered the menacing look on our MC's face back when she pissed him off. She surely wanted her son to graduate from the academy in one piece. Mrs. Margaret turned her back and told the butler not to do anything. Her order was quickly understood. But before he leaves, she reminds him that no one must know about their conversation and what happened to Cyan. She was clear in her statement that they should eliminate anyone who knows about it. The butler left the room and closed the door. Little did he know, someone was watching him at the other side of the hallway. Back to our MC, he was taking a short nap. It has been 10 days since they left the city of Sappher. The knight that was spared, whose name was Brian, has been acting as his subordinate all this time. San assumed that Mrs. Margaret already knew that he was still alive, and at this rate, he'd be arriving at the Royal Academy safely. The only problem was, he still needed to think about what he should do with Brian. This guy then informed the young master that they had arrived. Sen replied, all right, with an annoyed expression. He thought this brought back the old days. That was because he was now back inside the Royal Academy. His carriage reached the gates of the place, and he thought that he couldn't really call them good memories. But the Academy had changed him in many ways. As soon as he entered the building, our MC showed his emblem and introduced himself as Cyan Vert of the Duke Vert family. The ones assigned with onboarding the students looked stunned upon seeing him. This lady came to her senses and immediately accommodated Cyan. She noted that he was definitely registered and added that he just needed to go to the assigned dormitory and wait. The entrance ceremony and the elemental test were in 2 days. This information got Cyan thinking if he had heard something right. The lady then gave him the key to his room, and it apparently came with a letter. Cyan was startled as soon as he saw it. He asked if she was sure she hadn't made a mistake. A few moments after that, bags were dropped on the floor. Brian had his mouth wide open as he addressed his young master. Turns out, the room that was given to Cyan was the Royal Hall. It was a luxurious room that could not be compared to any dormitory inside the academy. Cyan noted that no one in their family had received this kind of treatment and thought that someone had to be behind this. Cyan broke Brian's amazement as he questioned if all the luggage were there. Brian nervously confirmed it. And since all of Cyan's belongings were now in his room, Cyan tried to get something inside his coat's inner pocket. With a serious look in his eyes, he told Brian that his role was done. Brian panicked and tried to ask Cyan to wait a second. He thought the MC would kill him, but to his surprise, Cyan handed him a bag of gold coins. Brian was dumbfounded and asked, "What's with the money?" Cyan continued walking while telling Brian that it was his payment for his hard work for the past few days. The money should also be enough for him to start a new life wherever he goes, as he might end up dead if he goes back to Vass. His statement made Brian speechless. Suddenly, Brian kneeled and exclaimed something that caught the attention of Cyan. Brian Kendrick, an official knight of Vass, asked Cyan's permission so he could serve him his entire life. The hyped atmosphere that his pledge should have filled the room vanished, as Cyan was shocked to find out that Brian was a knight. He couldn't believe it. Brian then revealed that he was the lowest of the low and was often treated as a coachman. While still bowing his head, he narrated that his father used to tell him that if he meets someone he can trust and serve all his life, he should ask him without hesitation. Cyan sighed as he commented, "That's a really foolish thing to do." Brian was caught off guard by Cyan's answer. While giving off his dark aura, Cyan asked Brian how he could be sure that Cyan wouldn't be stabbed in the back in the future. Brian immediately answered that it didn't matter if Cyan took his life in the future. He was then cut off as Cyan tapped his shoulder, telling him to never think about betraying him. That was Cyan's way of accepting him as his knight. Cyan then opened the door while telling Brian that they would not attend the entrance ceremony and would just go to the elemental test. Brian still couldn't believe what had just happened. Meanwhile, inside the Royal Academy Dean's office, Two people were talking about the talented students at the elemental test this year. The testing hall was filled with many aspiring students, and currently, one student with silver hair stood at the center of a platform. A bright light enveloped her surroundings. The one taking the elemental test was none other than Princess Erin. As for her evaluation, her mana rank was 2 stars. Physical rank was B, and her element was light at 52%. The next student who took the test was a guy with huge muscles. His name was Seth Jaharkin. His mana rank was 3 stars. Physical rank was AA, and his element was sand, at 71%. One old man continued to browse the information of the students. The previous students were already remarkable, but someone caught his attention. It was Cyan. Our MC took the test, and his mana rank was only at 1 star. Physical rank was at S rank, and the most notable part was his dark element, which was at 92% proficiency. This female instructor, named Sarika Negrithi, noted that even Alice Vert, who was titled as the God's Child, was only at 88% in the water element by the time she graduated. The old man found this information interesting. Even Alice, who was praised for possessing top-notch talents, could not match up to her younger brother. This old man was the Royal Academy Dean, Kundal Quizel. The only thing that Professor Kako was concerned about was that Kyan's element was dark. Dean Kundal admitted that his talent might just rot. However, they still could not ignore his growth and talent potential. Dean Kundal then inquired if the professor was aware that Cyan was assigned to the Royal Hall. Professor Kako said yes, as she heard it from the other instructors. She had a shocked expression as she heard the dean reveal that it was per the Emperor's order. The dean shared that apparently, Cyan saved the young princess from the monsters on the front lines. The Emperor was even considering marrying the two. They then imagined the 5th princess, who was considered to be a failure, marrying someone from the Vert family, who was known to raise talented individuals. They wondered what kind of consequences that situation would have. Kako commented that conflicts over the succession would be heightened, and the empire might split up and cause a civil war. But then, Dean Kundal stopped her from overthinking. He told her that all they could do for now was to watch. They needed to wait and see whether Cyan would become the empire's hero, or if he would be responsible for its downfall. Meanwhile, the culprit behind the overthinking of the adults was just casually walking down the hallway. Cyan noted that in his past life, his dark affinity was just at 80%. He wondered if it was because he drank the demonic beast's blood. His attention then shifted as he saw the person in front of him. Cyan said, "Hi." The blonde guy was Cran, and he quickly panicked. He was not expecting Cyan to still be alive. The chubby guy beside him showed an opposite reaction. The chubby guy asked Cran if this was the kid that he treated like his slave. Cran was hesitant to answer, yes. But he still did it. This loser is Gam Kingdom's Marquis. Penan's son, Poa Panarin. Poir teased Cyan that he didn't even know who his mom was in our MC's past life. These two used to bully him whenever they had the time. But this time, it will surely be different. Sen thought that it must be his lucky day to come across these losers. Poer tapped Ciar's shoulder as he noted that it seemed that Cyan needs a good beating. Cran tried to stop him. And on the other side, our Mac looked like he was planning something. Cran wanted to flee and suggested that they should just go to the cafeteria. But this fatso continued walking towards C. All of a sudden, a powerful kick was sent to Poer. The impact was so powerful that it shattered the wall. Cyan had this devilish grin. I bet it really felt satisfying, he thought, as he finally got his revenge. Cran could only cry while screaming for Poer's name. Fatso Poer got popped. Now that Poer was unconscious, Cyan spoke and told Cran that they really should have a chat. This loser was already sweating heavily and crying as our MC's hand landed on his shoulder. Sen leaned closer to him and whispered that he really doesn't care what he does behind his back. But if he ever sees him again, something will happen. While grinning, Cyan told his stepbrother that he will be graduating in a wheelchair. That statement was more than enough to make the tears fall from Cran's eyes. The loser's knees felt weak because of the fear that he felt. Meanwhile, Cyan casually walked away while thinking that his life in the academy is going to be fun. A few hours later, inside the academy's library, instructor Sarika Negrithi walked through the hallway. She is the same professor that we met last time. She was still thinking about the dean's statement about Cyan being the hero or the downfall of the empire. That made her plan to keep a close eye on our MC. Instructor Sarika continued her stay inside, and that was because she was about to get a specific book. But upon seeing the spot, it was missing. Her mood suddenly changed as soon as she realized that it was not there. All of a sudden, she heard a voice asking if she was looking for a book. She was startled. The one that spoke was none other than Cyan. Instructor Sarika immediately changed her attitude and smiled. She then asked Cyan how he got in there, as students were not allowed in this place. But in her mind, she noted that she didn't even detect Cyan's presence. Instructor Sarika tried to confirm if he was really Mr. Cyan Vert. She also asked if our MC could give her the book, as she really needed it for her research. Sech Shan smiled and told her, "Of course." He handed her the book, and the instructor thanked him. But all of a sudden, A dark, ominous aura was about to hit C. The book that he was about to hand to her was cut in half. Cyan then awkwardly maintained his distance towards CA. He asked, "Is that not the book that you were looking for?" He was also about to address her as Instructor CA, but he stopped. He corrected himself and revealed that this lady in front of him is the assassin organization's Mist's Helm, Sarika Negrithi. With an intimidating gaze, Sira asked Cyan how the hell he knew that. Our MC then recalled that in his past life, he thought of this instructor as someone who was ordinary. She even approached Cyan back then and asked, "How's your life in the academy?" The bullied Cyan maintained his silence and didn't answer her question. Instructor Soraya was apparently in charge of Canyon's counseling, and she used this to get to know him more. Canyon's eyes were already filled with emptiness when he heard that Sarika saw a lot of potential in him, and of course, he thought that it was a joke because all he did was be bullied by his own brother. But his expression changed as the instructor told him that she was very interested in him. She noted that it's rare to see someone with 84% in the dark element. Cyan blushed a little while replying that someone told him that it's not a special element. CA happily informed him that that was the case because humanity doesn't know much about it, but she actually thinks that his growth potential is infinite. C got more interested upon hearing those words. He even got swept up in confusion with a lovely and innocent smile. Instructor Sarika told Cyan that she looked forward to working with him. Those words made our MC think that this person could help him. Back to the present time, Cyan noted that those damn smiles were all just part of his misunderstanding. Him being an S back then didn't help him because he didn't notice that he was already being deceived. This hot lady right here used her job as a professor to hide her true identity. Cyan noted that he will not be falling again for her innocent looks because this lady right here is the assassin. On top of that, she's the Halm of the assassin organization Mists, and her goal was to hide and gather information inside the academy, where all the royals and nobles of the continent come to learn. Armisi lowered his guard as Sarika broke the silence. She told him that she will hear him out in her lab, so he should come with her. This lady had also removed her glasses, and god damn, she looked fine. That left Armisi dumbfounded. He thought that she didn't really react as dramatically as he had expected. A few moments later, they were now inside CA's lab. Cyan noted that this place hasn't changed. Mysterious scrolls and daggers were placed around. Our MC sipped his tea. He then smiled and sarcastically told Sarika that she had put poison in the tea. That gave Cyan the reminder to never trust this. Sarika laughed. She replied that Cyan doesn't need to worry because it's not a very severe poison. It will only melt his organs. Little did she know, this trick would not work on C. He was confident because he had consumed countless demonic beasts' blood and Emily's food. His expression turned more serious while advising her to maybe use something a bit stronger next time. That gave Saria the hint that they should now start their real conversation. She started it by asking Cyan how he knew her true identity. She also inquired how our MC knew that she received her orders in that specific unpopular book in the library. He was even aware of the exact location too. With an interesting look on her face, she concluded that maybe Cyan was also a part of Mist. Cyan had this funny look as he asked her, "What more proof do you need?" This got Sarika thrilled. She used her dark aura and told Cyan that his head got big because of his elemental test. But Cyan ignored her remark and changed the topic. He shared with her that before going into the academy, he was asked by everyone if just one escort knight would guard him. That gave Sarika a confused look on her face. Cyan then continued to tell her that it was because nobles have been murdered left and right recently. He turned his gaze to Sarika and asked her when the purification project began. Sarika repeated his words and got confused about the purification project, while trying to deny that she knows nothing about what Cyan was talking about. This was already oozing with her dark aura, and our Gigachadma countered this while also exuding his aura. He clarified himself that he was referring to the assassinations. Sarika grinned while warning Cyan that he might regret what he just said, but he didn't back down as he asked if she was really threatening a student right now. All of a sudden, her foot moved. Sika kicked the whole table towards C. Cyan was already prepared for this and was about to punch the table. He also asked if this was really how Sarika would respond to his questions. C's punch broke the table in half, but that was just a diversion for this lady to bring out her weapons and position herself on top of Cyan. Our MC was aware of her move and thought that he proved his identity enough. Ka was about to attack him because even though Cyan claims that he's part of Mist, she didn't even know his name. She claimed that, as the Halm, she knew all of the members. She landed on the ground and released slashes. Cyan created some distance between them, then dashed towards him, while screaming that she won't let him go that easily. Cyan sighed while saying that she had given him no other choice as he summoned his weapon. Ka's attack was deflected by C, and that caught her off guard. Cyan claimed that if she doesn't believe him, he will just show her. Multiple slashes were then sent towards CA, and she was not able to react. Cyan's last attack sent her backwards. Ka's eyes widened as she noticed the dagger that Cyan was wielding. She knew that this was none other than the demonic sword, Kiram, that only the one chosen by Eru can wield. Our GigaChat MC had this cool pose as he asked her once again if she believes him now. S also knows that Mist is looking for a successor right now, and that statement froze Sokka as she wondered how the hell did he know about that. Cyan then claimed that the very person that they have been searching for is right in front of her. He commanded Sarika to bring him to Eru right away. Later that day, the night came. The scene shifted towards this street somewhere in Lewin, where there's almost no people walking around. An old house came into view, and at its door, someone was busy chanting a magic spell to pick up the locks. A purple magic circle appeared a few seconds later, and the door finally opened. The ones that were beside the action were none other than Sarika and Cyan. Both of them concealed their identities by wearing their dark cloaks. Sarika broke the silence as she told Sene that he was not even surprised that there's a mist base at a place like this. She added that this is the path to the altar that Cyan wanted to go to. From this point on, he will be on his own. Dark, ominous aura was also coming out from it. Cyan entered the house alone. He thought that this is really a unique realm made with the power of the god of fog, and because of that, the place is much bigger than what it looks from the outside. It was like a whole new place. But even if Cyan was impressed, he didn't lower his guard. He still noticed the presence of those who were hiding in his sight. 2 people at 4 and another 3 assassins at 11 high, and just like that, daggers came flying towards Cyan. But since he already predicted this, he easily deflected them all. The assassins then started their ambush. 2 of them appeared behind Cyan. He thought that this welcome ceremony was a bit too much even for him. Our MC jumped backwards to dodge their attacks. Cyan leaped once again, and this time he counterattacked. He threw his daggers towards the assassins. Most of them were not fast enough to even react, except for one. The mysterious assassin replicated the same movement that Cyan used when he deflected the daggers earlier. Cyan immediately noted what just happened. He couldn't believe that one of them managed to react in that short moment. The assassin's eyes widened as he thought that this fight was amazing. He then signaled for them to do a secret technique expansion. The mist assassins regrouped and did the Deathhorn formation. Cyan was already being surrounded, and to counter this, he exuded his dark red aura while also chanting a secret technique expansion. He raised his hand and gathered his power. The assassins were startled as they saw his technique. They hesitated for a bit, but one of them told everyone that a kid like Cyan wouldn't be able to perform such a technique. The one they were talking about was the Bloodthirst Wave. Cyan let out a violent force that quickly made its way all over the place. Bloodthirst Wave is a secret technique exclusive to assassins that allows them to manifest bloodthirst into a physical form to attack others. Upon being hit by the bloodthirst, the assassins were immobilized. Most of them couldn't even breathe. A few moments later, most of the assassins were down. Cyan looked at them and noted that they won't be able to get up for a while now. He still gave them mercy as he didn't kill them, but then something caught his attention. The same assassin that deflected his dagger is still standing. That gave him the idea that maybe this one is one of the higher-ups. Cyan knew that he can't really waste any more time with this. So he started to get serious. He activated one of his fog sword skills. He raised one of his arms while summoning his demonic sword on the other one. This move is called Unshakable Roots of a Great Tree. The mist assassin then made his way towards Cyan. Our MC was caught off guard as the assassin forced him to clash their weapons. Cyan wondered who the hell this guy was, as he just managed to stop his technique midway through. No ordinary member of the mist assassins could do that. The mask of the assassin then fell on the ground, and at the same time, he finally spoke. He praised Cyan for being adept at his main skill. As their weapons were still touching each other, the assassin's face was revealed. The assassin exclaimed that he couldn't hold back any longer. Cyan had this funny expression on his face as he realized who the assassin was. The assassin is a freaking lady. It was none other than CA. This lied to Cyan earlier. She hid her presence so she could fight him and see his true powers. And just to make her back away, Cyan performed a series of deadly slashes called Thick Fog 8th Form Assault. The atmosphere around the area just became more intense. Sarika had this creepy smile as she commented that Cyan was proficient with the thick fog and the fog sword techniques, and that made her more interested in him. Sarika was just about to tell him to show her his true potential, but then Cyan did something unexpected. He ran on the opposite side, and that was because this lady was known to be a zeal for combat. Her great energy or enthusiasm in fighting strong opponents drives her crazy. Cyan thought that the drunken desire of the Halm would really become dangerous if their fight continued. He then ran for his life. Cyan knew that she would want to fight until one of them dies, and only those who have experienced this would know that kind of feeling. Sarika was already dashing from wall to wall just to chase our MC. She had this crazed facial expression as she exclaimed for Cyan to come back. She even told him that she was just giving him what he wanted from the start, and to stop him from getting away further, she used the technique called Fog Sword Rushing Fog Storm. She performed a series of slashes until she hit Cyan. Cyan backed away as he thought that even though he also wanted to fight stronger opponents, he's not as perverted as CA. Sarika, on the other hand, was still teasing him to fight her. She commented that this realm was created by Aru, and the outside world won't detect his energy at all, so he doesn't need to worry about that. And that statement made Cyan become more serious in his head. He finally agreed. After all, he can use all the techniques he wants in a place like this. Cyan knew that he could end up killing this thick instructor, but that really doesn't concern him anymore. He summoned his demonic sword and positioned himself for their battle, but before he could dash and start their fight, his body trembled. Cyan suddenly fell face down on the ground. That also caught Sarika off guard. An ominous female voice was then heard around the area. She uttered, "I knew it. You can rest." Sarika's eyes widened as she saw the owner of the voice. It was none other than our OG demonic sword, waifu, Karam. She is finally manifested in her true form. She told Sarika that she didn't really want to intervene, but Sarika forced her to. The perverted instructor then acknowledged the demonic sword and quickly kneeled in front of her. Karam asked her, "What's up with this situation?" Karam knew that Sarika worships Aru, but she's still here attacking her master. This lady then answered that she's just checking to make sure that Cyan is who he claimed he was, whether he really is the successor or not. That answer angered Karam. She released her dark aura while telling Sarika that she could have just called for her god instead. That's a much easier way to solve things. And since it had already come to this point, Aram wondered if Sarika would want her to take this as a direct challenge toward the demonic sword. The pressure of the whole area suddenly felt a lot heavier. But instead of being intimidated and scared, Sarika just scoffed. She told Karam that before that, they should pay attention to the successor first. That confused Karam. She then turned her gaze to our MC, who was already losing a lot of blood. Karam panicked, asking Kyan why he was just lying there and dying. Sarika explained that it was because Karam manifested into her whole form, but that is a very inefficient way of doing it. As a result, it eats away the owner's life force. Karam grabbed Kyan's collar while telling him that this should be nothing. She was even mad because her master was still weak, even after drinking all that beast blood. Their funny interaction was cut off as Sarika butted in again. She uttered, "I, Hallmaster Sarika Negri of Mist, do not reject any fights." She even licked her lips while telling Karam that if she was her opponent, she really couldn't turn it down. The once shy and innocent instructor had really become a perverted one. Karam started to feel weird about Sarika. She wondered what the hell was wrong with her. It even scared her. Meanwhile, Kyan had finally regained his consciousness. While still regaining his composure, he asked Karam why she suddenly manifested. But instead of answering her master, Karam told him that he just needed to stay behind her while she teaches Sarika a lesson she will not forget. And since this one had been longing for a powerful opponent, she exclaimed that it would really be an honor to fight her. Karam was becoming more annoyed, so she warned her not to cry and beg for her forgiveness later. Sarika was quick to answer that she would love it more if Karam could push her to that point. These two were about to start their fight, but a voice stopped them. "That's enough." A dark blue portal began to appear. This also caught Cyan's attention. He knew that the portal was the one that he had been waiting for. The voice told Sarika to send the successor to the altar. She kneeled and acknowledged the command. Our MC had this awkward smile, and that was because he could now finally get to meet Aru, the god of darkness. People say that the god of black fog is evil. The god of black fog kills without hesitation and justifies it as if it was an act done out of consideration. The god of black fog responds that it is what the people desired. He added that others do not decide for you what is wrong or right. If you can just protect your own ethics by dying, then that is enough. Anyone would say that the logic is insane, but someone believes that God is just trying to protect the weak. Basically, the god is an idiot. Cyan stepped out of the portal. After coming out, he saw a large staircase in front of him, and on top of that sat the throne of the god. The god asked him if he knew who he was. Cyan replied, "Of course, the god of black fog, Aru." Aru inquired if the child's name in front of him is Cyan Vert. He asked what evidence Cyan had to claim himself as his successor. Cyan replied that Aru must have already sensed that he had the power of the fog within him. Aru explained that there are two ways to become a successor. One is if he gives them the mist stone himself, and the other is when the mist stone finds the qualified one by itself. Aru claimed that he doesn't know Cyan Vert, so he assumed that the latter applies to their situation. Aru shared that it is true that the mist stone, which should be at the altar, has suddenly disappeared last year. On top of that, Aru found it surprising that Cyan was able to awaken Kairam when the god himself was unable to track her down. He commented that Cyan handled her very well. Aru also noticed Cyan's eyes, on which the light in them surpassed his age. Aru finally understood. He realized that Cyan is an outsider from a timeline that he is not part of. That's news to Cyan, since he was under the impression that Aru was involved in bringing him into that timeline. Aru had a relaxed posture when he told Cyan that if Cyan wanted an all-powerful and all-knowing god, he was at the wrong place. He shared that he's not powerful since it had been long since his rights as a god had been taken away from him. Cyan realized that Aru was right. Aru mentioned how things were convenient for him. Cyan asked what he was talking about. Aru explained that a perfect successor had shown up on his own, so there is less work for him now, but in the first place, the god didn't have anything else to do. Cyan commented that he's lazy as always. Eru mentioned that Cyan brought something annoying with him. Eru was referring to the item beneath Cyan's robe. He asked if Cyan was not satisfied with the demon sword, since it looked like Cyan was attempting to take the power of the holy sword too. Cyan replied that he's not trying to do anything at the moment. Cyan had a devilish grin as he shared that he just thought that if the world doesn't know about that item's existence, then it might become useless. Eru commented that Cyan possesses quite an evil hobby, but he decided not to probe further. But Eru reiterated that he will follow the rules. He shall ask Kian, the absolute master. Master, he uttered. Dear successor who has inherited my powers, what do you seek with this power? Kian was asked the same question in his past life. Back then, his answer was to live for his brother. But now he knew it was an idiotic response. Neither Eru nor Sarika were bothered by his response. In his past life, he wondered why. Then he asked himself if there wasn't anything that he wanted. Eru told him to remember that there is nothing more dangerous than blind faith. Perhaps back then, Eru already knew of Cyan's pathetic end. Cyan replied that he had no grand plans, no great cause, or some divine faith. Cyan thought to himself that it would be different this time. He declared that he would use Aru's power solely for self-serving purposes, just for himself. Eru replied that what is right or wrong is for Cyan to decide. He asked Cyan if he was confident that he would not regret it. Eru advised him to answer carefully, since depending on Cyan's response, he might get killed on the spot. Cyan replied that he doesn't care what kind of consequences his actions would have, but he stood his ground on not following anyone's orders. He is determined to take this path. Eru picked up that Cyan must have a certain plan. He asked Cyan if he could share it. Cyan immediately replied, nope. Eru replied that it won't matter as long as he purifies his name. Eru decided not to ask further. He commented that Cyan is quite boring. After that short, playful moment, Eru became serious. He decided to converse with his daughter, Karam. He commented that Karam had changed quite a bit. He asked if it's because she likes her owner that much, since she's so obedient. Karam was flustered as she played dumb. Eru replied that he's very happy to see her like that. So he leaned in for a kiss. Karam wanted to get away from him so badly. Eru told her that he's being nice to her since he doesn't have anything to give to her owner. While struggling to get away, Karam looked at Cyan while yelling, "Crazy bastard, owner, do something." Cyan tried not to get involved by commenting how they have such a wholesome father-daughter relationship. Aru's lips were approaching Karam's head, but then a bright light appeared which made Karam panic all of a sudden. She turned to her original woman form. She was confused that she had a body while Kyan was not using his mana either. Kyan wondered if Eru used his own power to do that. Karam grabbed his father's robe and asked what he had done to her. Eru replied that it was nothing much, just some life force from him. Eru acted sad. When he asked if she didn't like it, Eru told her that she would need a physical body in order to serve her owner, if you know what he meant. The way Eru mentioned serve, Karam thought about something dirty, so she got flustered and rocked Eru back and forth while watching them. Kyan couldn't help but think how they were like father and daughter. The next day at the student dorm, Brian called his young master. Brian whispered to his ear to ask what was going on. Cyan replied that he also didn't know, and he suggested letting it be. But Brian couldn't do that. He explained that it was something that couldn't simply be left alone. He was referring to the staring contest between Sarika and Karam. Karam, looking pissed off, commented on how an instructor went to see her students so early in the morning. She suggested that others would start talking about how special CA's relationship with Cyan was. Cyan replied that he would guide Sarika to the right path. Karam argued that a hallmaster should be more careful. Karam and Sarah were like a tiger and a dragon, ready to bite off each other's necks. Sarika told Karam that what she did had nothing to do with her. Karam reasoned that her owner only needed her, so Sarah should stay away from him. Sarika rationalized that Cyan was her disciple. Cyan, feeling tired of it, decided to go for a walk. Brian panicked since he didn't want to be left with them. The two were already talking about taking out their weapons to fight. Brian was already fearing for his safety. I bet he's this close to pissing his pants. Outside the room, the streets were bustling. Cyan watched the city from a high platform. He sighed as finally he could relax. Then, he smelled blood. There was a student who was pushed to the ground. The student coughed up blood, holding his aching arm. The bullies were excited to try something with him. One of them created an orange ball and showed it to the student on the ground. He told him that it was a little snack while holding the student's mouth, planning to shove it in, claiming it was a snack he brought for him. The student closed his eyes while clenching his teeth. All of a sudden, someone yelled, "Stop!" The girl shamed the bullies for being nobles who engaged in bullying. The bully introduced himself as Barrett Louis Mill, the oldest son of the Gam Kingdom's Duke Louis Mill household. He asked who the girl was. She replied that she was the princess of the Yusuf Empire, Aaron Cyrus. Barrett Louis Mill laughed and insulted Aaron for being just the fifth princess. He loomed over her to intimidate her while telling her that it was nice to meet her. Erin told him that she wouldn't want to shake his hand. She demanded an explanation for the situation. Barrett Lewis Mill told her that she was misunderstanding something. Barrett asked the student to tell Erin what was really happening. He grabbed the student by the collar while his arm hung around the student's shoulder and asked if they were bullying him. The student replied that he wasn't being bullied. Erin told the student that he didn't need to hide it, given that he was in an obvious state. The student replied that they were just playing around. Barrett Lewis Mill asked if Erin clearly heard that. He expressed that he was starting to feel displeased. Erin insisted on taking the student with her, but Barrett Lewis Mill grabbed her arm. This had a furious expression as he told Erin that she seemed not to understand what was really going on. Erin asked why he was doing that. Barrett emphasized that the student, Leximus, asked her to leave. Erin threatened him using her name if he didn't let her go, but Barrett Lewis Mill looked down on her as she was nothing more than a little weak princess. All of a sudden, our emissary appeared and heard that, so he kicked Barrett Lewis Mill. Erin was surprised to see Kenna, and Cyan, on the other hand, was taken aback seeing Leximus. He couldn't believe that the kid in front of him was Leximus right before he regressed at the Garam Kingdom. Klein Castle. Swords were clashing. Cyan defended using his dagger and faced a woman, the continent's best swordsman, Leximus Klein. She was originally from the Yusuf Empire, but for some reason, after graduating the academy, she entered the Count Clean household in the Garam Kingdom, and even changed her nationality. Leximus and Cyan continued to fight. Back then, Leximus let out an attack that shattered the ground, catching Cyan off guard. Leximus charged at him again, but Leximus was confused when Cyan wasn't in front of her. Instead, he was behind her. Cyan attacked her while in the air, and she came crashing to the ground, coughing up blood. Back then, Cyan was ordered by the Empire to kill her. The exact order was to assassinate her. However, after infiltrating the castle, Cyan ended up having an official duel with her. There wasn't any special reason for it. Leximus was someone who had reached the peak of swordsmanship without mana, and Cyan did not want to stealthily assassinate someone who had been titled the continent's best swordsman. Back to the present timeline, the current Leximus was confused as she watched Cyan, while Barrett's lackeys were in panic as they approached Barrett. Barrett shoved his lackeys aside and complained that there were too many nosy bastards. Barrett asked Cyan if he's the one called Cyan Convert. He heard about him and knew Cyan was from the front lines. He asked Cyan if he wanted to join their little game. Deep inside, Cyan found it ridiculous since the wrong use of a mana marble could lead to the destruction of mana inside the body. Cyan uttered that it was a game where the bullies force-feed someone a mana marble. Cyan made a marble in his hand as he expressed that he would join. Barrett was shocked. It was a gigantic marble. Cyan asked what they were doing with an intimidating expression and uttered, "Open your freaking mouths." A few moments later, back at the academy, Leximus was treated. She was told that most of her external injuries were healed, but she needed to be on bed rest for her internal injuries to heal. Erin encouraged her to rest. Leximus blushed as she thanked Erin. She expressed how she didn't know how she could repay them. Erin was proud and a little boastful when she narrated how those bastards ran away when Cyan scared them. She told Leximus that they just did what they should have, so she didn't need to worry about it. Cyan thought about Leximus's injuries, fractures and slight concussions. It was shocking that she managed to endure that. Cyan took it as she's built differently, given that she's branded as the continent's best swordsman. Our MC's chain of thoughts were cut off as Leximus inquired if he knew her. She was curious since she felt him staring at her. Cyan replied that he thought he knew her, but he actually didn't. He apologized for making her uncomfortable. She replied that it was nothing. Erin asked where her dorm was, worried that those bastards might retaliate. Leximus replied that it was in the commoner hall. Erin concluded that Leximus was a peasant. Leximus explained that she got admitted into the academy with the help of Instructor Vane. The instructor promised her financial support during her school career, but he suddenly got fired. Cyan summarized that now there's no one to support Leximus, and if that's the case, she might have to leave the academy. Erin told her to take Leximus as her person, and while she's at it, learn swordsmanship from her too. Erin was confused since Leximus was a boy, but Cyan told her that Leximus is a girl. Erin was dumbfounded. Leximus explained that she didn't mean to deceive the princess. She explained that having short hair and wearing boy clothes were more comfortable, so a lot of people mistake her for a boy. Erin apologized to her, realizing she didn't even notice and Cyan even knew about it. Leximus told her it was okay since she should be the one apologizing to her. Then Arin asked her what she thought because, for Arin, Cyan's idea seemed pretty good. She explained that Leximus wouldn't be bullied by bad people if she came under her, and she could learn whatever she wanted, having a more comfortable life. Leximus asked why she was chosen. Erin explained that she doesn't like being alone. Leximus thanked her and declared that she would be someone Erin could be proud of. Erin replied that she doesn't need to thank her since it was all Cyan's idea. Erin was surprised to see that Cyan was no longer standing by the door. Meanwhile, Cyan knew that he had done enough. He was certain that the princess would take care of the rest, but now, he understood why Leximus abandoned the Yusuf Empire. She never would have lost her mana if it hadn't been for Barrett Lewis Mill, the continent's best swordsman, who never lost her mana. She's going to be someone difficult for Kyan to defeat. But anyway, Kyan's interest was elsewhere at the moment. This was because he received an order from Sarika earlier that morning. While being excited, he looked at a piece of paper. This was Kyan's first purification mission as a mist.